We are talking about LeVar Burton. And LeVar Burton saying a lot of interesting things about Picard Season 3. In fact, the most interesting thing he said was that this will be the next generation of the next generation, or the next generation. And that plays into our theory a lot. So we're going to get into this. His exact comments was, "It was an absolute blast being together again. You guys have never heard how close we were, right? When I got married, Brent was my best man. Patrick, Jonathan, Michael, we're all my groomsmen. We've seen each other through the birth of our children, through marriages, deaths of parents, divorces. And so the opportunity to be together again and to be together again in spacesuits and to play these characters that we love these people as much as you do. Trust me. And you will see, I am so proud of us because I think that we all look pretty damn good. Not only are we aging gracefully, but we're aging appropriately, and that's always the case." He went on to say, "And then there was the acting, which if you can imagine how good the chemistry is, it's better now because our shared experiences are deeper and richer, and we've lasted longer, stood the test of time. And to be able to come in at the end of what has been a very long journey for Patrick and sort of seeing his energy level rise because he was a dead dog tired when we got there." Oh my God, he looked tired in season 2. "I really do believe that we helped carry him to the end in fine fashion because he was surrounded by love." Skip to the good part here. "One of the blessings of this journey was that in the story, it's all about the next generation of the next generation. And Geordi has 2 daughters, one of whom is being played by Mica Burton, my daughter. She's grown up with, these are her aunts and uncles, and they've known her since before she got here. And to be able to work with all of us in a professional environment for my kid, and I got to work with every day. I dragged us to work and we carpooled every day because she lives under my roof, and it was glorious. You know, actresses have early makeup and their hair calls than actors, but I would get up early and drive my kid to work because when is this ever going to happen again?" Now, I'm going to stop with the quoting. This is really important because he actually dropped this information by accident about a year ago that his daughter would be in Picard with him, right?
Right.
Now, adding this up, that's great. I'm glad that everything you just said is awesome. You know, he's having a great time. Patrick Stewart had a lot more energy. Good, because he was literally on death's door for seasons 1 and 2.
I find it fascinating that he took the time of all the things he could talk about. That is something that stood out in his mind that he mentioned, which means that his condition must not have been very good at all.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it. You could talk about anything, anyone on the casting, but what stood out was that they barely were able to finish shooting this with him, and they literally had to carry him over the line.
Right. That's interesting.
I mean, one of the things that I do in my real world is that I look at it's not just what people say, it's what they choose to say. Mm-hmm. Within, in this environment, the fact that he said that, and I think that also shows his loyalty to his friend, because obviously this guy LeVar Burton is very sensitive to the fact that there was a lot of social people on social media, me being one of them, that criticized Picard's energy level, his performance ability, how he looked in some of the final scenes in season 2, even parts of season 1, but definitely season 2. And I think that's something that he wants to make sure. I think what he's basically doing is he's trying to give us some reassurance that, hey, we are a team, and you're going to see a better Picard than you saw in Picard, per se.
And that's awesome. Because I was actually worried that, first off, I was happy that this was the last season. Because I don't care how good the season is, Patrick Stewart cannot continue this role. I don't know if he can do like any role outside of voice work. I mean, to be honest, I'm not trying to be rude, but the man is clearly very tired. He's not, vibrant. He's just hanging in there, man. And I'm almost thankful that he came back to to do this role one more time, even though seasons 1 and 2 were not great. I appreciate that he did come back to do it. And I believe that Terry Matalas with season 3 is making a true like return to form TNG style. And a big part of that is having the TNG characters. I think that the Picard character has always been best anyways, sitting in a chair and saying, make it so. He's not the guy in Nemesis on the dune buggy with the rifle. That's not his character anyways. It shouldn't be.
Right. And there's a fundamental difference between at 82 years of age, he just turned 82. At 82, I'm reading his IMDb profile. At 82, there's a big difference between Picard being your show and you're the focus of it, and you have a few supporting casts in a story that you have to drive.
Right.
Versus you have an ensemble cast, which now you've got a couple of other things going on. You have multiple storylines that you can run that don't depend directly or indirectly on him through those storylines. Right.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah, that's a good point you brought up, because I don't know if the other actors, the other cast in season 1 and season 2 can actually carry the roles. Like,
right. They can't. And for a lot of them, it's their first break. For some of them that have had other experiences, this is their first sci-fi. I had 3 complaints about the supporting cast, about the casting in these first 2 seasons. One is that for some of them, it's too big of a first break for them to have gotten, in my opinion.
Right.
Some of them, although they have some credits, it's their first time in sci-fi.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then some of them, even if they've had other roles, this is very different. What they were asked to do with these storylines, some of them already had characters with storylines, so that when they re-popped up and we brought someone back that we'd seen before, 7 of 9 or whatever, we got a different variation. And I think as great actors as they were trying to be with the scripts that they were trying to struggle through, when you shift the look and feel of a character that you used to know so well, and now we're over here on this Picard storyline, and you take like say 709. I think that's why some of those moments were so awkward, because they're also trying to adapt. Even someone that say knows their role or has a character role, and
right.
So I think we had all 3 of those things going on. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think Jeri Ryan can totally carry her own self, but she was also struggling in season 2 to reinvent the character that she was already familiar with for years. And now she's sort of like changing fundamentally the way the character was. I mean, down to her sexuality. Like, that is such an awkward thing to play a character for a decade, come back into the role, and instead of that strong, familiar character, she has to sort of like completely re-engineer the character. That's hard.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we had all 3 of those things happening before. First time sci-fi, re-pivoting, and then too big of a break for some people for whom it was their first break. There's no way, in my opinion, and I know this is going to be a controversial opinion, is that as unexcited as I am to watch this right out of the gate, though, I would put money down that there's no way that this season 3 has to be better than 1 and 2. There's just no way it could be, because with these other characters coming in, there's just a lot of rich angles to go, and they don't really have to make up a whole lot. They just have to progress, and the actors are so strong and ingrained in their careers. I can't see how we're going to have, say, for example, weak performances, which we saw over and over again in a lot of episodes in the first 2 seasons.
Right. Yeah. The best actor, I think, from the first couple seasons was probably Rios. Yep. And to be honest, they underutilized him, like, totally.
Yep.
But you're right. In season 3, these are actors that have pretty much only played, not only, but pretty much only played these characters their entire lives. And I don't think it's going to be hard for them to get back into it. That's for sure. And I think that the story, all we need is a decent story, and I think the rest of it will fall into place.
I agree completely. And let's keep in mind there's something else that this group of actors has in common, which is that between the cinematic releases and then all of the different episodes of this of all those seasons, they know how to work with people. They know how to work with different directors. They know how to work. So that in and of itself is going to alleviate a lot of potential error.
Right. I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. So that's good. On the same note, he also said this is the next generation, the next generation. He's not only referring to his daughter. Okay. Of course, he's not only referring to his daughter. What a grandiose statement that would be! Like, oh, his one daughter is in this show, so it's the next generation of the next generation. No, there needs to be other connections out there, and we already talked about Ed Speleers and Picard's son. But remember something: there is a young man, a young Klingon man that was already introduced in TNG. Worf's son, Alexander.
Oh, yes.
Like, there is no way there isn't at the very least a reference to that character. You have a character that's in canon that's young enough to actually play a pivotal role in a new Star Trek show. You're gonna show him. So I think that's being kept very low key.
You think that's going to be a surprise? You think Alexander's going to show up?
Yeah, you're looking at the IMDb right now, aren't you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Let me tell you, Shay and I we've been down this road, and yes, we believe that he will show up, and we actually have an idea on who the actor will be too.
You don't think it's not going to? There's nothing there.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a tight-lipped secret. You see, Ed Speleers is popular enough as an actor to have things come out that he can't control. Like his acting coaches tweeting that he's in Picard, or the website stuff, or all the little things that come out. He's popular enough for it to spin out, right? But if they pick the actor that I think they picked for this role that I saw in the cast sheet, the guy, he's not that popular. He has very little under his belt that we would know.
Oh, so you already figured this out.
I figured it out.
All right.
I have a theory that I don't want to bust out here because,
No.
I might save it. But I'm almost positive that Alexander will make a return to some degree, which would make sense. So we have LeVar Burton's daughters, Picard's son. There's no way that we're not going to see other children. We know Riker and Troy have a child that we haven't seen yet, and we already know that Alexander is a part of TNG. So, and a big part of it. So why not? So that's why I'm saying it's the next generation. Oh, and technically, Data's daughter is still out there too. Thank you, Archmage Phrase. Technically, Data's daughter. What's her name again? I always forget her name.
Oh, God, I don't know.
The android daughter, whatever her name was, she's out there too. So at this point, literally,
I can't believe I'm blanking.
Every character that is coming back has a potential child in canon. In canon.
Yeah, you're right.
Tell me that's not going to be a factor, guys. Come on.
No, you're right.
Come on.
That's a layup.
That's a layup. The definition of a layup.
That's a layup.
But that is our opinion. We would like to hear what you think in the comment section down below. So hit that comment section and let us know. Are we going to really get the next generation? Are we going to see Geordi LaForge's kids, Picard and Crusher's kid, Riker Troy's kid, Alexander, Data's daughter? Are we going to see this? Are we going to see the actual next generation? And then, if it's successful, you don't think they're going to try to spin this off into a new show? We might actually get finally some forward momentum out of Star Trek. I mean, I know it's a pipe dream, but Jesus, sign me up, bro. Sign me up for some forward story momentum. I'm so tired of going back in time. I'm tired of the prequels of the prequels of the prequels. Don't do it no more. Come on, baby. Let's move forward. You know how disappointed. You know how disappointed I was when I finally got to season 2 of Picard. And I'm like, okay, we got through the season 1 rigmarole, the setup, right? We got Terry Matalas coming back. He's gonna be a showrunner. Season 2 is gonna be great. And the first thing they did was go back in time.
Back in time.
Bro. Oh my God. I was so pissed. I was like, why, what is your obsession with not moving forward?
Because, I'm going to say this, is that limited experience, limited knowledge, but some exposure to some of these people, is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this parallel, is that for a lot of these creator types or these showrunners or these writers, for them, it's easier and safer in their mind and better to go backwards and try to add to something historical or redo something historically than move forward. And here's the reason why. And whether it's sports or whether it's our beloved sci-fi or it's life, it's all the same. There's some people that play to win, and there's some people that play not to lose.
Ooh.
And like you, I think what's frustrated me is that just when you have an opportunity to move us forward in this beloved franchise, sci-fi, Star Trek, that we love, some of these people internally, they're insecure and they're fearful. So they're playing to not lose instead of giving us something that's creative, brave, moving forward, and playing to win. What say you to that theory?
No, I think you're right. And I think that, okay, so I don't want to sound like the old boomer guy right now because I'm not a boomer.
No, you're not. You're millennial.
I'm Gen X. But
okay.
But here's the deal. I think that where we live right now in like this current time, we have trained younger people instead of to thrive, just to survive. We have trained younger people to just keep their jobs. Don't stand out, just fit in. And here's the problem with, like, if you really want to always fit in and you take that safe route, yeah, you're safer. You might not get canned, but you're also never going to exceed anything. You're always just going to be middle of the pack, you know? Like, fitting in is you don't want to fit in. I always tell my kids this. I'm not trying to age myself here, but there's a time where you know you're not ready to get away from the pack and show what you're made of, and you got to sort of keep your head down and fit in. I did that when I was in the military. I was not prepared, to be platoon leader when I joined the military. I stayed in the middle. I kept my head down. I got through my training, right? But the second I got to an actual posting where I felt comfortable in my job, when I was doing tech for the Army, I went out of my way to be the absolute best, because this is where I shine. And if your entire job is to be a writer, like, break away from the pack, dude. Like, do your best. But instead, we have taught people, instead of doing your best, do what's safe and keep your job. Get your bag, right? We always say, get your bag, do your job, and go home.
I'm reading a fascinating book right now called Generations, and what you talk about is a characteristic of Generation X, that more leadership, pragmatic, solve the problems, move forward, and characteristic of at least one, if not both, of the next generations is that. And I think that's why we're getting this.
Yeah, and it makes complete sense. And that's every franchise. Do you know of a single franchise right now that's actually moving forward? Or are they all just hanging out in the past? So what are they doing? They're going, we don't want to move forward because we don't want to commit to a storyline that may not be good and may not be well received.
Right.
But we know everyone they like what this guy wrote. Let's go back and add to his work.
Let's go fiddle with that.
Right. That's safe. That's safe.
It's literally, I didn't even plan this as a prop, but it's literally like, well, I could create things and move things forward so Brian and the Popcast people and other sci-fi fans are happy, or why don't I just come over here and mess with this guy a little bit?
Yeah. He looks pretty cool. Yeah. You know what? Why don't you just add a little more detail to that? Whoever painted that did a good job. Just add a little more detail to that. Why make your own piece? Because if you make your own story, it might be criticized poorly. You might not do as well. You might stand out, but in a bad way, and that's not safe, because I want to keep my job. I gotta say, boys and girls, if you're doing that, if you're playing it safe, right? Maybe you have to. Maybe you're like, oh, I have to survive, so I gotta play it safe. I'm not very good at my job yet. I don't feel comfortable where I'm at. Maybe your job that you're in right now is not your final job. Maybe you're just waiting to get out of school so you can get to your to what you want to actually do. If that's the case, fine. But when you get to where you plan to be, where you plan to excel, listen, take some risks. Take some risks and stand out. Like, get out and be the best. Recently, someone told me that I should change my thumbnails because my thumbnails were like they weren't salacious enough. And I gotta be honest, I almost agree with them, and I do to a degree agree that our thumbnails are not very salacious. Like, they're like, we don't have any red arrows on it. We're not like, hey, check this person out. What's this? We don't play that game. And sometimes I want to play that game because it feels like a sort of a shoo-in, right? Like, that's the way you do YouTube. But instead, I can't look at it, though, on my screen and be like, oh, I'm proud of that as artwork. And I want every one of my thumbnails to stand on its own as a wallpaper or a piece of art. So I would rather just make it great artwork and hope that someday some other people appreciate that than to just follow the pack. And so,
well, I think I don't mean to get distracted, but your thumbnails actually very much reflect the content of the videos.
Right.
Which a lot of YouTubers don't do. They'll do something salacious and then it's like a bait and switch, or there might be one little point in the whole thing and they hit on that. And then, you guys don't play any games. There's integrity.
Boobs, or lots of boobs. There's always lots of boobs in thumbnails.
Is that a request?
Oh, here we go. We got the thumbnail coming up. But yeah, listen, I'm gonna get off this topic, but I think you're right. I think that they're playing it safe. And I think that playing it safe is just giving us bad content. And I think fans are generally not happy with the constant movement to the past and the constant reliant on what the greats before them did. And instead of building properly on top of that, just adding detail to it, it sort of sucks. And I'm tired of it, personally.
You're here.
Jeremy Snyder said, Miles and Keiko O'Brien's kid, Molly. That's true. Data's daughter, Penny J. Data's daughter was Lowell. That's right. So before we wrap this up, what do we got? We got Ed Spelier's character. Let's call him Renee, because I'm not sure of his real name yet. Renee.
Yep.
We got Riker and Troy's kid. We don't know who that is yet, but they definitely have a kid. They made sure to let us know in season 1. We got LaForge's 2 daughters, definitely. We got Alexander, Worf's kid. We got Molly, Keiko and O'Brien's kid. And we got Data's daughter, Lowell. I mean,
7.
That's a pretty good cast right there, bro. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a whole bunch of Jerry Springer episodes right there.
A lot of Jerry Springer episodes. Okay. All right, let's wrap this up. If you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comment section what you think about all what we just talked about. I planned on this being a 6-minute segment, and it ended up being 25 minutes. So.